Have you ever had one of those days where you have little to no energy, but still feel the quiet pull to create? Today we're painting two whimsical watercolor mushrooms with ink, even on a day when perfection isn't the goal. This kind of simple painting often gives me a little boost on low days, and it might do the same for you. So today I invite you to paint with me, step by step, no pressure, just presence. Let's begin with a light sketch. I'm using an H2 hard pencil and very soft pressure. This keeps the lines clean and avoids graphite smudges that could muddy the painting later. Mushrooms are wonderfully irregular, so yours don't need to match mine or each other. If your pencil wobbles or goes off course, let it. That's part of the charm. No corrections needed here. Hi friends, I'm Krista, a self-taught artist living with chronic illness and ADHD. And in a few weeks, I'm going to be a grandmother for the first time. Before we move into painting, you might notice something. The drawings you just saw me sketch look a little different from what I'm about to paint. That's because after I finished sketching the first time, my cat knocked something over. I paused the video, dealt with it, and thought I hit record again. But I didn't. I actually painted the first layers on both mushrooms before realizing the camera wasn't rolling. And then I started over with new drawings off camera. Sometimes that's just how art days go. We roll with it. Lately, I've been drawn to calm, meaningful projects that are gentle on energy but full of heart. These two little mushrooms started as a painting idea for the baby's nursery. They'll hang side by side, a tiny set. As I painted, I saw how they represented this new chapter. Small, resilient, and quietly magical. We'll start with a wet on wet wash on the brown mushroom. Watch how the pigment moves, spreads, blooms. That movement is part of the magic, not a flaw. Here I add the grassy base beneath both. It's just a few quick strokes, but it connects them and grounds the composition. I paint back and forth between the two mushrooms, moving from one to the other. This gives drying time and helps them feel like a set, especially as I add the grass and shadows. In a moment, you'll see how I use color layering to build warmth without overworking. Each time I add color, I go in with a damp brush to pull and fade the edges of the paint. This softens the transitions and helps avoid hard lines inside of the mushrooms. It creates that gentle, blended look that feels natural and organic. You might notice I never correct anything here. That's on purpose. We're not fixing, we're flowing. The mushroom cap is still wet, and I take a darker, thicker mixture and add it to the bottom so it will gently blend into the top. I'm adding just a little bit of cool underneath the overlap of the stem. This will help give it some dimension. And again, I'm pulling that paint out with a damp brush. If you notice, I keep dabbing my brush on a Kleenex that I'm holding on to. I do this after I rinse my brushes well to blend the color out. I don't want to drop a bunch of water or a bunch of paint onto an area, so I'm just using little bits at a time. Now I'll deepen some areas, still working in gentle layers. Take breaks whenever you need. This is a gentle space. If you're painting for someone special or just for yourself, let the process be your focus. Sometimes the smallest, simplest projects carry the most meaning. You'll notice that I test my colors out on a piece of paper. I've done this from the time I first started painting. And if you do that, then you can save yourself a lot of stress down the road when you put a color down and you decide, oops, that's not quite the right color. I'm simply just painting around some of the areas that I know are going to be the little white spots on the mushroom. There's a moment coming where the tiniest highlights brings the whole mushroom to life. I go back in just with a very barely damp brush and start lifting off some of the color where the highlight will be. Now you can see I'm dabbing that color off of my brush each time onto my Kleenex before I go back in and grab more. Be careful, don't do what I did. I actually stuck my hand into the wet paint, and if you don't realize, you could actually transfer that paint onto the background of your paper. Now we'll outline with ink. This is my favorite part. Let your lines be loose, uneven, human. A wobbly stroke, let it stay. That's what gives this painting voice. I use a thin pen, letting the ink dance around the shapes, not to trap them. Just before we finish, I add a touch of colored pencil to deepen shadows and a little white gouache to the spots on the red mushroom. This one tiny touch brings a sparkle to the whole piece. It's like adding light right into the story. Art doesn't have to be big or flawless to be meaningful. Even on low energy days, even with brain fog or wobbly hands, creativity still finds a way to bloom. Here they are, two little mushrooms full of color and character, not perfect, not matching, but perfectly enough. If you painted along, I'd love to hear about it. Tell me in the comments or share a photo in the community tab. I read every one. And if you've enjoyed this tutorial, I have more real-time, beginner-friendly painting sessions right here. Let's keep creating gently together.